Chapter 6. The Thin Line. The Xylos Confederacy, basking in the perceived weakness of humanity, largely ignored the resilience and its antique escorts hovering over New Terra. Grand Admiral Zarath of the Xylos High Command was more concerned with the logistical nightmare of resupplying his forward assault fleets for the inevitable full-scale invasion of human space. Let them make their pathetic gestures, he'd scoffed to his subordinates. It just makes the eventual cleansing more satisfying. His attention was firmly fixed on the Andromeda sector, a strategically vital Xylos outpost deep on the galactic rim, far from any human presence. Then, without warning, the galaxy screamed. On every comm channel, every data feed, every public broadcast screen, from the core worlds of the draconian hegemony to the chaotic trade hubs of the Velar Collective, the familiar, self-important faces of galactic newscasters were replaced by a jarring, high-definition feed. It was a raw, unedited, terrifying spectacle. It began with a shimmering tear in the fabric of space itself. Not a wormhole, but something far more refined, like a precise surgical incision. From this impossible gateway, a single, impossibly sleek vessel emerged, followed by two smaller, equally alien craft. They bore no markings, no identifiable characteristics, just a sleek, obsidian-like hull that seemed to absorb the starlight. The Xylos battle station, Citadel Prime, a heavily fortified hub in the Andromeda sector, appeared on screen, unaware. Before the Xylos defenders could even register their presence, the unknown ships moved. Not like any known vessel. They flickered, traversing vast distances in an instant, their movements defying physics. Beams of pure, focused energy, so intense they warped the light around them, lanced out. Citadel Prime, a fortress designed to withstand sieges, was vaporized in segments, cleanly, precisely, as if erased from existence. One moment, a Xylos cruiser was unleashing a futile volley of missiles. The next, it simply wasn't there, leaving only an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. There was no struggle, no prolonged battle, just absolute, overwhelming destruction. The entire engagement lasted less than 2 minutes. Then, as abruptly as they appeared, the unknown vessels flickered out, vanishing back into the impossible tear in space, leaving behind only the expanding debris field of Citadel Prime and a galaxy utterly dumbfounded. The broadcast, however, wasn't over. As the shocked silence rippled through the galactic community, a stark white text scrolled across the screen, dominating the void left by the destruction. We will not be oppressed by the so-called ruling beings. This is the first warning. Leave all human assets alone. The message repeated in every known galactic language, crisp and cold, a hammer blow to the collective galactic ego. Fear, a sensation rarely felt by the dominant powers, began to ripple through their hallowed halls. Who were these anonymous destroyers? Their technology was centuries beyond anything catalogued. Could it be a new, undiscovered species? A rogue force? The complete silence from the human known fleet only deepened the mystery, making it impossible to connect them to this devastating display of power. Back on New Terra, Kalen Rourke, hunched over a comms monitor in the central hub, watched the broadcast with a mixture of terror and awe. The Xylos attack on Kuiper 3 had been a wound. This was a surgical amputation, a chilling demonstration of power from something utterly alien. He thought of the resilience, still stoically orbiting above, and then of that strange, prescient hum he'd felt. Could there be a connection? Across the struggling human colonies, and even on the ancient soil of Earth, the broadcast stirred different emotions. Some felt an exhilarating surge of defiance, a belief that humanity finally had a champion. Others, like the gifted individuals, felt a chilling confirmation of their deepest fears, that their kind of unique abilities might not be so anomalous after all, and that the universe was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Among the highest echelons of the true Earth Council, hidden deep beneath the planet's mantle, there was a quiet, grim satisfaction. The first move had been made. The game had begun. Chapter 7. The Unseen Shield. The silence in the Earth Council's inner quintet meeting chamber was heavy, punctuated only by the distant hum of the hidden Earth engines that powered their subterranean sanctuary. Viridia Prime's besieged status flickered on the central holoscreen, showcasing the desperate losing struggle of humanity's nascent gifted against the overwhelming Xylos occupation force. Lives hung in the balance. Finally, Director Jian Li broke the tension. Delaying activation of the Heaven's Walls will mean the fall of Viridia Prime. We will lose thousands of lives, and the Xylos will be emboldened. And revealing Earth's full defense now could trigger a galactic war before we're ready to win it, Elder Maeve O'Connell countered, her gaze fixed on the grim statistics. The full Heaven's Walls around Earth itself are only just completed. We need more time to fully integrate them, to ensure their stability, and to fine-tune our response protocols. General Armitage slammed a fist on the table, a rare show of emotion. We have the Angel Fleet's deployed satellite batteries. They are already in position around the key colonies. They are designed for this exact scenario. A localized, immediate planetary defense. It will protect Viridia Prime without revealing the full extent of Earth's global Heaven's Walls. It projects strength, saves our people, and still leaves enough mystery to sow doubt among the other powers. Ambassador Valerius nodded. It's the most measured response. A new, unprecedented defensive technology, deployed without a clear signature, maintaining the ghost narrative. The Xylos will be baffled. The galaxy will be left wondering about this new, formidable, anonymous defender of human assets. Director Li nodded slowly. The Xylos are attacking a ground target, not just orbiting. A localized shield could repel their ground forces, make it impossible for them to land or deploy, without revealing our true strength in space, or our Earth's full defense. So the question is, Elder O'Connell summarized, do we reveal this layer of defense now, or do we allow Viridia Prime to be overwhelmed in order to maintain the deeper secret for a later, more impactful reveal? The 5 custodians of humanity's future looked at each other, the weight of a galactic war resting on their shoulders. They had prepared for centuries, but the speed of the Xylos' reaction and the unexpected emergence of latent human abilities was accelerating their timeline. The line between showing their strength and preserving their ultimate trump card was thinner than ever. On Viridia Prime, the struggle was turning into a rout. Finn, battered and bruised, shielded a group of civilians with the last flickering vestiges of his energy field, his body trembling with the effort. Lena Petrova, her hands still faintly glowing, was frantically trying to staunch a torrent of bleeding, but the Xylos forces were pressing in, their sonic cannons shattering the remaining barricades. Despair was a bitter taste in the air. Suddenly, the sky above Viridia Prime rippled. It wasn't a tear like the one that had birthed the Ghost Fleet at Citadel Prime, but a series of micro-distortions. From them, hundreds of what appeared to be small, inert asteroids or debris particles began to shimmer into existence, rapidly positioning themselves in a planetary grid. The Xylos attackers paused, baffled, their sensors screaming with anomalous energy readings. Then, with an almost silent hum, the disguised satellites flared to life. A vast, shimmering dome of iridescent energy materialized around Viridia Prime, encompassing the entire atmosphere and touching the very ground. It was an ethereal, impossible barrier, unlike any shield technology the Xylos had ever encountered. Xylos energy blasts, designed to penetrate any known defense, simply diffused against it, dissipating into harmless sparkles. Kinetic projectiles slammed into the wall and crumpled, their momentum absorbed without a tremor. The Xylos ground troops, who had moments before been overwhelming the human defenders, found their sonic cannons bouncing harmlessly off the shield, their energy whips sparking uselessly against an invisible force field. They were trapped, unable to advance, unable to retreat back to their ships. The Xylos command ship in orbit, the harbinger of supremacy, hailed its ground forces, but the comms were cut. Their sensors reported a completely impenetrable energy field around the entire planet, radiating an unknown, incredibly potent signature. The Xylos ships in orbit tried to fire, but their shots merely splashed against the dome, harmlessly exploding on its surface. Below, on the surface, the human defenders looked up in stunned awe. Finn felt his shield flicker, then vanish, no longer needed. Lena Petrova, her hands still faintly glowing, stared, her jaw slack. The Xylos soldiers, moments ago triumphant, were now isolated, their arrogance replaced by confusion and growing terror. They were staring at an impossibility. Back on New Terra, Kalen Rourke was monitoring the Galactic news feeds, watching the panicked Xylos reports come in. The Resilience continued its stoic vigil overhead, unaware of the specific events unfolding at Viridia Prime, yet still projecting its quiet defiance. Kalen saw the images, the Xylos ships fruitlessly attacking an invisible barrier. He saw the baffled expressions of Xylos commanders, their voices roar with frustration. And as he watched, he felt that familiar internal resonance, that subtle, knowing vibration within his own body. It was stronger this time, almost like a sympathetic hum, a quiet confirmation that this was a part of the unseen forces he had begun to sense. The universe, it seemed, was far more interconnected, far more alive than he had ever dared to imagine. Humanity, it was becoming clear, was not merely fighting for survival, it was revealing a destiny, long hidden. Chapter 8. The Devil's Due. The Xylos commander in orbit above Viridia Prime, High Protector Zaxlar, stared at the impenetrable energy dome surrounding the planet. His ground forces, moments ago triumphant, were now trapped, their comms dead, their weapons useless against the alien barrier. Fury warred with a cold, creeping dread. "What is this?" he snarled, slamming a multi-jointed fist onto his console. "Unknown energy signature, unknown deployment method. Retreat is impossible for the ground assault teams." Across the galaxy, the reaction to the Viridia Prime shield was a cacophony of fear and frenzied speculation. The draconian hegemony's military strategists were poring over sensor readings, trying to replicate the energy signature, but it defied all known physics. The Velar Collective's trade routes were already in turmoil, their mercantile networks buzzing with frantic theories about a new, terrifying power. Many believed it to be a precursor technology, perhaps recently unearthed by a long-dormant ancient civilization. No one, absolutely no one, suspected humanity. On New Terra, Kalen Rourke watched the unfolding events on his comms unit, the images of the shimmering dome above Viridia Prime, filling him with a sense of impossible wonder. That familiar, internal resonance within him, that faint hum of foresight, was now a persistent thrum, almost a vibration that mirrored the energy of the distant shield. It was as if his own body was reacting to, or perhaps even connecting with, this unseen force. He felt a growing urgency to understand, to somehow tap into whatever this strange gift truly was. He began to subtly observe others, looking for any similar, inexplicable quirks, any sign that he wasn't alone in this newfound, silent sensitivity. Back on Earth, the inner quintet observed the bewildered Xylos response with grim satisfaction. The Heaven's Walls deployment was a success, Director Jian Li stated, the data flowing across her personal holoscreen. Viridia Prime is secure. The Xylos ground forces are isolated, but not neutralized, General Armitage pointed out, his eyes glinting. They are still a threat, and leaving them there undermines the message. Admiral Elias Vance brought up new schematics. These were smaller, dagger-like craft, sleek and dark, designed for atmospheric entry and ground operations. Our tactical response assets are in position. The Devil's Fleet, as we've designated these smaller ground assault carriers. Each armada carries between 100 to 200 of these ships, each named after a fallen angel: Abaddon, Belial, Lucifer, Leviathan, and within them, the Demon Army. Holographic projections of the demon army appeared. Agile, heavily armored AI-driven combat units, capable of navigating any terrain, their optical sensors glowing with an unsettling crimson. They were designed for overwhelming force, for direct confrontation, but also for precision. "We will send enough ships to neutralize the Xylos ground forces on Viridia Prime," Vance continued. "No more, no less. And the demon army has strict protocols. They will show mercy. Any Xylos soldier who surrenders and lays down their weapons will be spared and repatriated." "And this will be broadcast?" Elder Maeve O'Connell asked, her gaze contemplative. "To the entire galaxy," Ambassador Valerius confirmed, a strategic gleam in his eye. "We will override all galactic frequencies, just as we did with Citadel Prime, and the message will shift the narrative." Director Lee leaned forward, her voice sharp and clear. "The message will state, we are friends to all humans. We will put a stop to all injustices they have endured. This will cement the perception that these ghosts are not human, but an independent, benevolent force protecting humanity. It will create an ally in the galactic consciousness, or at least a powerful, enigmatic protector." "And the punishment?" Dr. Aris Thorne asked, rubbing his chin. General Armitage smiled, a chilling expression. "A targeted, precise strike. The Xylos trade hub in the Kepler sector, Port Solstice. A vital logistical and economic choke point. No lives will be lost, but its infrastructure will be irrevocably crippled." Admiral Vance nodded. "The Archangel Raziel and its support will perform the strike. Surgical, fast, just as with Citadel Prime, and the warning will be clear." The inner quintet finalized their plan. This was more than just retaliation. It was a complex dance of psychological warfare, a meticulous shaping of galactic perception. The first reveal of humanity's true, dual nature was about to begin. Chapter 9. The Ultimatum. The Xylos ground forces on Viridia Prime, already disoriented by the impenetrable heavens walls, were plunged into fresh chaos as the sky rippled once more. From the micro-distortions, sleek, black ships, sharp and angular like obsidian shards, descended with unnerving silence. These were the Devil's Fleet, designated Belial, Asmodeus, Lucifer, Leviathan, and their brethren. They landed swiftly, disgorging torrents of crimson-eyed demon army units. The demon army moved with impossible speed and coordination, their armored forms seemingly impervious to the Xylos energy blasts. They didn't engage in prolonged firefights. Instead, they disarmed, disabled, and overwhelmed with brutal efficiency. A demon would parry a sonic whip with a shimmering arm guard, then disarm the Xylos soldier with a precise, crushing blow to the weapon. Their movements were cold, analytical, yet imbued with a terrifying purpose. And then, the impossible happened. A Xylos soldier, terrified, dropped his weapon and raised his hands. The demon unit paused, its red eyes assessing, then simply moved past him. Another, his weapon destroyed, collapsed to his knees in surrender. The demon army did not execute them. They herded them, directing them towards designated collection points, their posture radiating an eerie, almost benevolent authority. The live galactic broadcast, still hijacking all frequencies, showed every chilling, unprecedented detail, the overwhelming force, the alien technology, and the shocking mercy. Then, the clear, precise voice, overlaid in every galactic language, resonated. "We are friends to all humans. We will put a stop to all injustices they have endured." As this drama unfolded on Viridia Prime, another spectacle gripped the galaxy. At Port Solstice, the Xylos trade hub in the Kepler sector, the fabric of space tore open again. This time, the ships were more numerous, more substantial. The Angel Fleet's heavy hitters, led by the colossal Archangel Raziel. Their design was utterly alien, a stark contrast to any known starship, their hulls seeming to drink the light. Before Port Solstice's meager defenses could even power up, the Angel fleet launched their assault. It wasn't a destructive barrage, but a wave of surgical, non-lethal energy. Zeus beams lanced out, not to destroy, but to overload. Systems across the vast trade hub blinked out. Comms arrays, power conduits, life support, even gravitational stabilizers, all crippled in a single, devastating pulse of exotic energy. Redundancies failed. Panic ensued. The Raziel's voice, cold and authoritative, resonated through the hub's emergency frequencies, overriding all other signals. This facility is being evacuated. All personnel are to proceed to designated escape pods immediately. Failure to comply will result in incapacitation. Chaos erupted as hundreds of thousands of beings from dozens of species scrambled for their lives. The Angel fleet vessels positioned themselves not to destroy, but to collect. The Xylos patrol fleet assigned to Port Solstice, a dozen frigates and cruisers, attempted a defiant stand. Their weapons, however, simply dissipated against the Angel fleet's impossible shields. The Archangel Raziel extended shimmering tendrils of energy, not weapons, but a form of subspace energy manipulator. One by one, the Xylos warships were caught, their engines sputtering, their weapon systems going dead, their control overridden. The Angel fleet didn't destroy them, they took them. The commandeered Xylos ships, stripped of their crews who were forced into escape pods, were pulled away from Port Solstice, a grim procession following the silent Angel fleet. As the Xylos ships vanished into the void, and Port Solstice was left a derelict, evacuated husk, the final, chilling broadcast began. Across every frequency, every screen, a stark message scrolled, replacing the chaos with absolute dread. We are the guardians of humanity. Your hostilities and atrocities against all humans end now. The ports of Solstice will serve as a reminder of your hubris. This is your last warning. The next step will be total war. Then, in a synchronized, devastating ballet of power, the commandeered Xylos ships, now distant points of light, erupted into brilliant supernovas, consumed by the Angel fleet's Hades fields, leaving only expanding clouds of shimmering debris. The message was clear. Humanity had protectors, impossibly powerful, utterly ruthless, and operating on an entirely different scale. Across the galaxy, panic gave way to a furious, desperate argument among the ruling powers. The draconian hegemony's High Council was in uproar. "Who are these beings?" bellowed the immense General Krill. "They speak of protecting humans, but their technology is utterly alien. Were they watching all along? Some precursor race who finally decided to intervene?" The Valor Collective's Grand Merchant Ambassador, an amorphous being of shifting colors, pulsed with alarm. Their ships, an unknown design never catalogued, and their ability to disable systems, to take control of fleets, it defies all known science. We must understand them. On New Terra, Kalen Rourke was glued to the screen, his mind reeling. The Xylos, the Earth's known fleet, the impossible shield, the silent black ships, the robot army, and now this devastating surgical strike. That internal hum, the knowing, was now a palpable pressure behind his eyes, a frantic urge to understand. He looked out at the dust-swept plains, then up at the tiny speck that was the Resilience, and for the first time, a profound, terrifying question formed in his mind. Were these protectors truly alien, or was humanity hiding a secret so vast it defied comprehension? The galactic powers were desperate for answers, but the truth, hidden in plain sight, was far more shocking than any of them could imagine. Chapter 10. The Looming Storm. The galactic silence that followed the total war ultimatum from the anonymous guardians of humanity was broken only by the frantic clamor of military councils and emergency sessions. Fear, raw and visceral, gripped the dominant species, but it was quickly eclipsed by a collective, ingrained arrogance. How dare an unknown force threaten them? "This ghost fleet cannot be infinite," bellowed Supreme Commander Thrak of the Draconian hegemony, slamming his clawed fist onto a star chart. "They appeared, they struck, they vanished. Their numbers must be limited, their energy signatures are unique, but they are not invulnerable." The Xylos Confederacy, though still reeling from the twin humiliations of Viridia Prime and Port Solstice, found a grim solidarity in the face of this new, terrifying threat. Grand Admiral Zarath, his pride shattered, but his tactical mind still sharp, addressed the combined military leaders of the Draconian hegemony, the Velar Collective, and several minor allied species via secure comms. They move with impossible speed, and their weapons are devastatingly precise, but they only appear after a human asset is attacked. They are reactive, not proactive. This is their weakness. The consensus rapidly coalesced. Preparation for total war is paramount, but a trap must be laid. The idea was simple, yet strategically flawed in its galactic hubris. If they consolidated their vast individual fleets, the Draconian dreadnoughts, the Xylos siege vessels, the Velar combat freighters, into truly gargantuan battle groups, they could, they reasoned, overwhelm this phantom enemy with sheer numbers. They simply couldn't fathom the true scale of the Ghost Fleet, or, as it was secretly known to its creators, the Angel Fleet. They had no concept that even the smallest Angel Fleet deployment group consisted of over 350 ships, with larger groups numbering over 500 vessels, each capable of operating with precision and power that dwarfed their own. "We must choose a target," Thrak declared, his reptilian eyes cold. "A human colony, sufficiently remote, sufficiently vulnerable. We will launch an overwhelming public assault, a full invasion, and when these guardians appear, we will be ready. Our combined fleets will be waiting, poised to encircle and destroy them." The plan was agreed upon. It would take months to amass such colossal fleets, to coordinate their movements, to prepare their vast logistical chains for a sustained engagement. Months of frantic shipbuilding, troop movements, and the reallocation of resources across 3 major galactic powers. This was precisely what the Earth Council anticipated. Deep beneath Earth's crust, the inner quintet observed the galactic frenzy with a detached clinical assessment. Holographic projections showed the enemy's projected fleet concentrations, their planned routes, their anticipated timelines. "Their arrogance is their undoing," Elder Maeve O'Connell murmured, tracing a finger across a developing battle map. "They believe sheer numbers will suffice. They do not comprehend scale. Nor do they comprehend efficiency," Director Jianli added, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Their months of preparation will be our greatest advantage. It gives us time to fully prepare the stage." "The Angel Fleet is already ready," Admiral Elias Vance confirmed, gesturing to the vibrant schematic of Heaven's Gate, Earth's command ship, poised in a distant, nebula-shrouded sector. "Every squadron, every wing, every AI-driven unit is at peak operational readiness. We merely need to position them." General Armitage folded his arms. "They will move their grand fleets, believing they are hunting us. In reality, we will be hunting them. This will be the true test of the Angel Fleet's tactical doctrines and the Greek god weapons." Dr. Aris Thorne leaned forward, a thoughtful expression on his face. "The challenge will be to ensure this test is conclusive, but also measured. We want to shatter their will for further conflict, not annihilate them entirely unless absolutely necessary. We still want to maintain the anonymity, the illusion of an unknown power. The element of surprise is our most potent weapon." "Indeed," Ambassador Valerius agreed. "The galaxy must learn that humanity's protection is absolute, and its protectors are unassailable. This encounter will teach them that lesson decisively." The inner quintet settled into a tense silence, each member contemplating the months ahead. The enemy would spend that time building their trap, consolidating their forces, convinced they were preparing for a decisive victory. But Earth, with its hidden fleets and ancient secrets, was merely observing, waiting for the perfect moment to spring its own, far more devastating counter-trap. The war they had feared was now inevitable, but humanity would fight it on its own terms. Meanwhile, on New Terra, Kalen Rourke found himself increasingly attuned to the subtle energies around him. That inexplicable hum had grown into a more defined sensitivity, a near-constant awareness of hidden currents, of latent energies. He had started to discreetly seek out others within the struggling colony, those who seemed to exhibit unusual resilience or uncanny luck. He was starting to believe his luck wasn't unique, but part of a larger, awakening phenomenon. The galaxy was preparing for war, but Kalen, far from any council chamber, felt a different kind of war brewing within humanity itself, a war of awakening.